Yeah.
Director of College Scouting for the Montreal Alouettes, Russ Lande, joins us. Russ, we're 3 weeks in, which means you've probably broken down tape of about, 9,000 college players at this point?
It seems that way most of the time, but it's really not that many football players to this point. You know, Adolphus Washington, defensive tackle from Ohio State, NFL teams are really intrigued by him because in the NFL now, those huge nose tackles that can only play 1 or 2 downs, they're really being pushed out. And when you look at Washington, he's a big, powerful nose tackle, but he's also athletic enough to get behind the line of scrimmage and make plays, and he can make plays along the line of scrimmage in pursuit. Teams think this is a guy who could be a 3-down defensive tackle. His game over the last year and a half has improved so vastly. NFL teams really feel he can play in any defensive front. He can be a nose tackle in a 34 front. He could also be a defensive tackle in a 43 front. I really believe as long as he stays healthy, he's got a shot to jump into that bottom part of the first round. Teams are really intrigued by what his potential could be.
But you could argue the other side of the coin as well, can't you, Russ?
Oh, I think there's no question. This is not going to be a smooth thing. I mean, remember, Adams, this isn't like a normal transfer who shows up maybe during spring ball or maybe even in January. He showed up 2.5 weeks ago. He's still getting to know the names of the players on his team. That part of it is tough. He has no continuity with the receivers there, and they happen to be playing with the new left tackle and new center because their 2 best linemen graduated, went to the NFL.
Who that next coach is going to be.
There's no question. And he's the key also because Fran Foley, who was sort of the administrative head of a lot of things there, he was let go also with that coach. So he's really the only guy, Loxley, that's sort of there as their recruiting hub. They have to keep him in place, in my opinion.
He must have really been encouraged. Come here and be our starting quarterback.
I think he had a pretty good feeling that he would walk into a starting job once he got there. As long as he did all the things off the field in terms of preparation, he would get that job. I think to me the most interesting thing is normally with 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one with so much experience that's going to be a possible starter. I think it makes it tough for the D coordinator because if it's Rudock, you're not going to try to do as many creative things just because he's seen a lot of it. With Morris, you're going to throw everything at him right away in the game, and you're going to really get a chance to knock him out in terms of the team. Rudock, you have to be a little more cautious. If you blitz too much, he's going to understand it, see it, and he's going to be able to make big plays. Not too much, but the reality is he's a little bit away in terms of his playing coverage.
He's got a little time.
A little time. Let's not rush him. He's got to get a little bit better before we get all excited about him being a high pick.
Well, I'm going to rush you right now, okay? You have to tell me your top 5 draft picks in the conference.
Okay, right now I think even though his year so far has been sort of up and down, Joey Bosa to me is clearly the top guy in the conference. He has a chance to be a special player at the next level. Ezekiel Elliott, the running back, I think everybody expected him to be as good as he is. He's a dominant athlete. Shalik Calhoun, I mentioned him earlier. I think he's going to end up being the best of all these players when he gets to the NFL. And we'll continue in Ohio State. Adolphus Washington, their big defensive tackle, dominant guy at the point of attack. Taylor Decker, left tackle, tremendous athlete. And the guy that to me I think is a surprise to many, Jason Spriggs, offensive tackle, Indiana. Very good football player, not getting a lot of attention. He's going to get drafted before a lot of people expect.
Go Steph White, Indiana
Fever.
Go get him.